kicking off our second round is a company making neuroscience fun. Isn't that like an oxymoron? Neuroscience fun? But let's get ready. No. I want us to get ready to hack our own body's electricity with Greg Gage, the CEO of Backyard Brains. Please strap in, get ready for what is going to be an electrifying presentation. Let's give it up for Greg.
All right. Thank you, guys. So I'm Greg with Backyard Brains. I'll tell you a little bit about what we do. I'm a neuroscientist. What does a neuroscientist do? They study the brain. But typically what neuroscientists do, they have to go to the University of Michigan and toil away for 7 years in a PI's lab, just get access to tools, right? No, not anymore, because that's the old way. Because 1 out of 5 people, it's actually now 1 out of 4 people, 25% of the world will have a neurological disorder. And how many cures do we have for these neurological diseases? 0, right? So why aren't we making neuroscience accessible in schools? So that's what we thought. We thought, astronomers can do it, right? You don't have to get a PhD to look through a telescope. You can use a cheap telescope and set it up in your backyard. Maybe want to become a scientist one day. So that's what we decided to do. So we created an organization that brings neuroscience into the classroom. We call it Backyard Brains. And how we do that is we make little cheap equipment that allows you to peer in and understand how the brain works. And students use the stuff that's already found in classrooms, like their Chromebooks and their phones, to be able to plug in and actually see how neurons communicate inside their brain, all right? And so I could talk about it, but instead I'm going to do a demonstration. And I have a volunteer from the audience to come forward. What's your name? Tapash, yes, I met you. All right, so come around here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record from Tapash's brain. And I could do so by drilling a hole into your head called a burr hole, and I could put some wires in there, and I could record from your brain, but I don't think your mom would be very happy. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a biohack, and that is I'm going to tap into your motor cortex where synapses on your spinal cord, it comes out to your muscles. I'm going to put some electrodes on your muscles here, and what we're going to do is we're going to listen to the brain as you're commanding the muscles. It's got a little bit of salt water on there. The salt water lets the bioelectricity come to the surface where this metal tip is. And if I plug this metal tip into an electrical wire, what does electricity like to do across wires? Do you know what it does? It likes to run. And so the electricity is going to move up to this wire, and we're going to put it inside this little device here. And this is an amplifier. And what it's going to do is when your brain thinks about moving your arm, we're going to take that signal and we're going to amplify it. Just like microscopes make cells bigger, this makes small amount of electricity bigger so we can hear it. So I'm going to turn it up. And when you want to, I want you to control your arm by squeezing your hand. What do you think that is? Neurons, yes. This is your neurons amplified by the muscles inside there. It's called a motor action potential. And so we are at a university city. We have to be pretty up to date, and you guys need to be convinced, right? We don't want to have some guy tell you what it is. You want to see it with your own eyes. So here it is. So go ahead and squeeze your arm. And this is the electromyogram. These are the spikes that are happening inside the brain as it comes back out, all right? Put on the EMG mode, perfect. All right, so give it a squeeze again. So that's what's happening, but this is kind of boring, right? You're just seeing it on the screen. What would be cool is if we could do stuff with it. So I'm gonna go and put this down. I'm gonna unplug you for a second. I'm gonna see if I can find a claw. Did we bring one, Alex? No, we didn't, all right. So, we want to make a brain-machine interface. That means that you can control things with your mind, right? So I'm going to bring up my friend Alex here, who is our chief designer and architect. Let me first explain about the brain-machine interface. So let me say one thing first, and that is we're going to be using something called a microcontroller, and not everybody knows what it is. It's a very tech town. It's a tech tour. But just to give you an idea, if you have a cat feeder and you want to feed your hungry cat, you can make a computer that does that. You can wait for the cat to put its paw on a sensor, and then you can have it kick out some food every time it does that. And you could use your iPhone 15 or a Snapdragon or an Apple Intel PC to do this, but that'd be a waste of money. What you want is you want the cheapest computer in the world because it's going to do the same loop over and over again, right? And so that's what a microcontroller does. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that EMG we just saw on the screen and we're going to stick it into the microcontroller. And if you do that, you can zoom in on those spikes. You can turn them into numbers. And once they come into numbers, then you can start doing stuff with the computer. So now I'm going to hand it off to Alex. He's going to explain what we just have invented.
All right, so just to give a little precursor, when I started doing electronics, this is what it looked like. You had a lot of dangling wires everywhere, and we've got a button, we've got a bunch of code, and this is great, but there's really a large barrier to entry in terms of getting involved in this. It's hard for students, and it's also hard for teachers to get into. And so enter the microbit, which is made by the BBC and Microsoft, and they've basically created this small little board. And this is a microcontroller. And so this has a bunch of sensors, it's got a bunch of things on it. And what's novel about it is that they give you a couple options of how to code this thing. So simplest being block code, where we can drag and drop blocks, but you can do traditional coding as well. And so we just actually launched a Kickstarter where we can take our biosignals that you saw earlier and actually inject those signals into the microbit to make them accessible for people to make their own maker projects. And so that just concluded, we're just shipping that now. And so we have a bunch of inventions here to show what this can do. So what's special about our device is that we basically have a bunch of different connectors and we have a little battery cage holder that makes this portable wearable device. But it makes it just easy to get common motors. Instead of having the big breadboard with all these dangling wires, you can connect your inputs and outputs directly into the board, as well as your muscles, heartbeats, and brain waves. And so what does that look like in a project? It looks like this. And so we have this small demo basically of a hello world. And so we have a small block that you can drag on with our own library. And so you can see it says start our muscle recording. And so this is the EMG signal when you flex your muscles that we just saw. And then we're simply putting that through a bar graph. And so we just say that when we see that muscle power signal rise, we're going to scale that to a bar graph and enable it. And so if we look over here, we've got this extra demo. And so when he flexes his arm here, you'll see on this small display this little bar graph go up and down. So go ahead and flex. Perfect. And so you can see you're activating the LEDs and everything, the lights that are on the device. But what gets really exciting is when you connect to other devices. So we take this and one thing that's done clinically with neuroscience is doing neuroprosthetics. And so taking those electrical signals from the body to be able to control artificial limbs. And so this is a DIY project that we have. We call the DIY hand. And what this does is this basically gives you the ability to control a motorized hand prosthetic that the kids can build themselves, and they can control with their own brain signals. And so Greg can explain a little bit more about how this works.
Yeah. All right, what I like about this demo is that when I was a kid, I mean, maybe you did too, I always thought that the muscles inside my hand were inside but that controlled my fingers were inside my hand, right? But it's not the case. In fact, they're all your muscles are here. Have you ever seen Star Wars where Luke Skywalker got his hand cut off and they had the pistons in there? So it's a pretty good model. So what I like about this one is that kids actually build these and they actually learn how the muscles work, because the muscles here in your forearm, and then this is actually your tendon. You have tendons that come up to your fingers, and then you have the carpal tunnel, which is this guy right here, which allows you to bring it down. But what you can do is you can expand it to more than just one servo. So here's a game that a student project has been developed, and so we're connected to the jump muscles on his legs. So when he wants to jump over, this is the classic Chrome game for when you have no internet. This is the analog version. I guess analog and a little bit digital right now. Yep. So we're able to do this and be able to show how this let kids' creativity fly. So we have a whole bunch of inventions up here that kids have done, and now what we're going to do is show you a few more things next. What are we doing next?
Nice record.
Oh yeah. So Alex is going to hook up and just see what happens when you control other things other than servos.
And so this device here is a really simple demo to kind of test your flex. So if these stick on me, what this does is you can see there's external lights instead of using the device. And then we also have a different kind of motor called a solenoid, which is kind of a linear actuator. And so when I flex my arm here, you can see the bar graph go up, and if I flex hard enough, you can trigger the buzzer. We also have a whole bunch of different things that you can measure other types of signals, like your heartbeats.
Yep, on So come out of this way. And so the spiker bit is a brain-machine interface. So there's many biosignals you can record from your body. You can record from your eyes. You can record from your heart. You can record from your muscles. You can record from your brain. And the brain is, everyone wants to record from their brain, but the brain is actually the boringest thing to do, because the only time the brain is active at an EEG electrode is when it's doing nothing, right? If you close your eyes, if you meditate, then you start to see some oscillations. When your brain is active, it doesn't do anything. But what we can do, it's kind of interesting, you can record for the autonomic nervous system, and we do that by putting electrodes on the arms like this, and then I'll hook you up, and we're gonna now go across the chest. So, whoopsies, there we go. Water. All right, so what the electrodes really do, it's a differential recording. So you do A minus B. And normally we put A minus B across the muscle, and when you do that, you get to record the muscle activity. But if you put A minus C across the heart, you can pick up the heart activity. So I'm going to plug this into here now. I'll go back to our little screen over here. There we go. And relax. I'm going to put this guy like this. And what is that? All right, just put your hands up on the table. Don't squeeze. Come over here. Just lay your hands on the table. And you're just going to be calm as a, there you go. So that is an EKG. You may have seen this on like hospital shows, but it's cool. And what's cool is that it brings it right out there, and now we can bring it into the microbit and actually do cool projects. And so we have another student design over here, which I'm going to unhook you now because you don't need to be on there anymore. And Alex will turn this one here on. And this is a way that what's happening inside the microcontroller here, you're going to grab both hands on that, like this. Just relax. Right now, the microcontroller is picking up the EKG heartbeat, and it's going to send the signal of the drum beat, so everyone here can hear his heart beating. Bump, bump. Uh-oh. Call 911. That's perfect. All right. Thank you so much. That's the end of this demo. And so I just want to say, you can have a seat. Thank you. Appreciate it. A round of applause. All right. So I just want to say that we're super excited. So we had our Kickstarter campaign finished a few weeks ago. We are now shipping live from Ann Arbor. So if you want one of these for your home kits or for a holiday coming up, we look at the QR code. You can go out and purchase one today. Walk over to our office and pick it up. We're right across right next to CIware. And we're hoping to start we had a neuroscience revolution, but now we're getting to neuroengineering. We want to have kids start thinking about how can they take neuroscience and turn it into engineering projects that actually make a difference in the world. So this is a good way to do that. And we're going to end with a cool demo that is going to be the cover of Make Magazine next month. It's Alex's design. And what it is, it's called the Spiker Man. And so he records from this muscle right here, and as he flexes it, it's going to shoot a web out, a web flinger, if we get it to work. There we go. There you go. And relax. All right. So we're looking forward to seeing what the world can come up with these inventions. This is the most creative product we've ever developed. So thank you for your time.
Let's give it up again for Backyard Brains. Who would have thought that neuroscience could be fun?